Well, welcome to Yearbooking and Gen Z. And for advisors watching, I bet I had you at the title, didn't I? Come on, I bet I had you at the title, didn't I? How do you handle today's, especially at this point, high school kids, college students, and then Gen Z goes through their 20s and so on? There's been a lot of stuff written about this particular generation. And so I'm putting together this video because I've heard from the last years now from advisors saying, I can't figure out these kids. I can't get them to do this, that, and the other thing. They're driving some people crazy. Well, I did some digging and came up with some ideas and solutions. Now, first off, I came across some information from a company called abode.com. Now, that's a human relations firm, and they put out a report a while back. Now, their report was mainly aimed at business, trying to get messages across to business people. Hey, here comes Gen Z employees, what to do with them, what's good, what's not good, and so on. But I thought, all right, advisors, you'd be the business person here, if you will. Let's take some of that information and convert it to our yearbook uses. And so we're going to display some stuff from the Abode report and point out a few things. Now, first off, we're going to start with some statistics. And if there are students watching this, maybe afterwards you can talk to your advisor. Is this accurate? Because I've got some harsh statistics to share. All right, let's start with this one. According to the information from Abode, 74% of hiring managers today, remember this is for businesses, 74% of hiring managers say that Gen Z is the most difficult generation to deal with in the workplace. Now, again, that's Gen Z, millennials, Gen X, baby boomers, we divide into generations. Today's hiring managers, three-quarters of them say Gen Z is driving them crazy. Okay, now you can agree or disagree. Let's keep going. Another statistic, 65% of Gen Z talent, when it comes to jobs and business, 65% quit a job within 12 months of being employed. And along with that, if we look especially at the ages of 18 to 34, that's like a key demographic. Right now, between the ages of 18 and 34, it says that Gen Z people in that group might change jobs 10 times or more in that zone of time. So, in other words, they don't stick much to jobs and then they jump to the next one and then jump to the next one and jump to the next one. Now, again, if you're a student watching this, you might be like, well, maybe. You might be like, no, no, no. Is this 100% of everybody? No, of course not. But on the majority, according to the statistics, it is. So, advisors, what to do in this situation, especially with those statistics in mind? Well, we've got five main areas from the report from Abode. Let's run down the five. The first thing to do, it says, is establish clear expectations. Now, here's a stat. 98% of Gen Zers want very clear expectations of what their role is with the yearbook in this particular case. That's essentially everybody. All right. Gen Z people want very clear expectations. Exactly is it that you want me to do? Don't be vague. Don't be kind of open ended. Very specific. Next up, foster genuine transparency. For some reason, we're told Gen Zers are a bit worried about the future, and they want clear responsibilities handed to them. They also want sort of more one-to-one work with their supervisors. Now, for yearbook, that could be the yearbook advisor, that could be a student editor. They want really clear one-to-one check-ins with their supervisors, and they like straightforward recognition. When they do something, they want to be recognized for it, but very specifically, like, did this, way to go, that sort of thing. Not vague, not open-ended. All right, next up, they want to offer workplace respect. Again, right now, according to a lot of stories out there, Gen Zers having maybe some mental health issues, challenges, concerns. And so they're looking at a possible mental health crisis. A lot of stories in education in general about that in recent years for this particular age group. And so they want to know that the work they're doing is being valued by others. And maybe occasionally things get a little stressful. Hey, how about a mental health day? Just take a day and just do something else. Okay, all right. Next up, nurture meaningful connections. They really want to know the other people that they are working with in their team, in their group, for a school, maybe in their class. We're told that Gen Zers really value those close connections with the people kind of around them. Well, do you sort of have that with your yearbook staff right now? How do we change that? Hold that thought. And then finally, focus on internal communications. Gen Zers do not want information overload. Like, let's dump them full of information. No, it needs to be very specific and very pointed, we're told, for this particular age group. They want information that is clear and concise, to the point, no doubt, and maybe regular communications with them, maybe once or twice a week, maybe even more than that. All right, maybe daily. If you have a yearbook class, they want some daily communication every day. Here's what's expected of me. Here's what we got need to do. Here's what's coming up. Go. Be very specific, we're told, with this particular age group. Now, what does all of this mean for good yearbooking, for yearbook advisors out there? Well, let me run down a few things, in my opinion, connecting with some of the things that we've talked about here. First off, very clear roles for all staffers. Now, sometimes we get a bunch of kids together for yearbook, and it's like, okay, who can do something? Who can do this? That doesn't seem to work with this particular age group. They want very clear roles set out for them so they know exactly what is expected of them right from the start, and then continue that, doing that all year long. Be very clear, clear assignments, clear jobs, no vague anything. This is what I need you to do. Boom. All right, check that out. Also, weekly goals. This group wants to know that they are achieving something. One of my favorite ideas is a very simple one. All right, now, depending if you have a class that's every day, maybe you have a club that meets once a week. Okay, that's fine. So let's say on a Monday or the next time that you meet, if it's a weekly thing, first thing you do is you list the goals that we want to absolutely get done this week. So if you have a Monday class on the big whiteboard and so on, or on the projection, here's all the things we want to get done by Friday. And then, of course, clear assignments, boom, boom, Joe, Jane, Jim, all that sort of stuff. Then on Friday, work your way through the week, keep track of everybody. When you get to Friday, you pull that list back up. Okay, what did we get accomplished this week? All right, we got that, we got that. We didn't get that. Boy, we missed that. Got that. All right. And then the following Monday, you reset the table. Okay, here's this week's list of the things we really need to get done this week. Boom, 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 boom. And do that as a weekly activity to stay on task, especially with this particular group of young people. They want to know that what they're doing is making a difference. All right, advisors, especially maybe high school, middle school, this one's tough, I know, for some, but you need a solid student editorial team assisting you. Think about it. Your title is Yearbook Advisor, which for me means that you're supposed to be advising your student leaders on all the different things that need to be happening with the yearbook. So you have a student, usually called an editor-in-chief. That's sort of the lead student, the person that's in charge. They answer, advisors, they answer to you. But then they turn around and then they work with your editorial group to make sure all of the different editors and their roles are very clear on what needs to happen with each one of them. And they have regular contact then with all the different staffers, depending on the size of your staff, all the different staffers, clear contact from the editor-in-chief to your sub-editors to all the people helping out, constantly in contact to make sure things are happening. Lots of roles out there. Editor-in-chief, copy editor. It's all about the writing in the yearbook. Nice, consistent writing. Photo editor. Let's make sure we're getting photos. What's the quality of our photos? How do we improve our photos? A design editor. All about the look of the book, the pages, the layouts, the templates being used, and so on. A promotions editor. Books do not sell themselves. All right, we need to do promotions in the building, out of the building, to parents, online, social media. A promotions editor will be a very busy person all year long. Not many, but some schools have what's called a managing editor. The managing editor's job is just to make sure, are things happening? All right, we've got two sports events tonight. There's a football game and a, I don't know, volleyball match or something like that. All right, we want to cover both. Who's going to do it? The managing editor's job is to make sure that everything is getting covered and done and then brought back for the rest of the group to use. Advisors, please, student editorial staff, really important, and it's a great learning and leadership opportunity for your young people. Here's one more editor that is one of my personal favorites. Not many folks have this. I call it a fun editor. All right, now I mentioned earlier mental health issues and stresses and so on. Sometimes yearbook becomes a chore. Ugh, nobody likes chores, right? Well, part of the job for the fun editor is they take maybe one day a week, might only be 10 or 15 minutes, and just don't do yearbook. Get the group together. Let's have some fun. All right, we're going to play a game of some kind. We're going to watch a couple of funny videos. We're going to do some kind of special goofy activity. Here's my favorite, food. All right, maybe not every week, maybe, but every month, one of the days, somebody brings in snacks and drinks. You take 10 or 15 minutes and just kind of chill. All right, you're cracking jokes and all that sort of thing. Organizing icebreakers, organizing a Christmas party, do a secret Santa sort of thing. In other words, what can the fun editor do to make sure that the fun never goes out of yearbook? And then they do other yearbook work as well, of course. Consider a fun editor so that your team has a lot of fun working as a team. Staff meetings regularly, and these are led by your editor's advisor, not by you preferably. Let your student leaders do the leading. Students value student leadership from their peers, not necessarily from an adult all the time. Again, clear, concise, information shared, so things like deadlines, what do people need, what problems do we have right now, does anybody have some fresh ideas that might be interesting? So build the team. Your yearbook staff is a team. And every good team out there, right, has team captains and so on. Same goes for yearbook. Let your students do the leading every chance you get. Advisors, your job is to just advise them to make sure that things are moving in the direction that they need to move. And then finally, regular recognition of good work. This age group, they want to be recognized. Hey, I worked really hard on this. It's completed. They want some recognition that, wow, that was really good. You worked really hard on that. That is great. Wow, look at those pictures from the soccer game last night. Those are really terrific. Regular recognition of their hard work, big or small, whatever the accomplishments are, show students that their work is valued. Somebody did a great job, page spread looks great, sales goal was met, all that sort of thing. Value work. Today's young people, and think about it, probably everybody, they want to know that their work is valued. So advisors, see what you can do with this talented, energetic, fun group of young people, keeping them moving in the right direction so that at the end of the year, you have a fantastic yearbook. You've had a great time doing it, and you can't wait to try next year's effort. Always set the table. Hope we gave you some good information here, and thanks for watching.